if you've seen any of the reports that talk about artificial intelligence and the risk that artificially intelligent machines could effectively replace 50% of the human workers in our business. Now that might sound good to some people who are looking at the efficiency bottom line, but that's certainly not good for any of us who actually work for a living. That's the point we're talking about there, where computers are smart enough to do all of our work and to do it more efficiently, more effectively. Of course, there's opportunity in that as well. It's not all doom and gloom. But essentially, computing power has gotten, or computers, machines have gotten smarter. They've also gotten smaller and they've gotten cheaper. So imagine a computer that harnesses the power of all human brains on Earth, that fits in your pocket and costs roughly the same as an iPhone costs today. That is not science fiction, it's coming science fact. And now some people might be thinking, well, the iPhone is horrendously overpriced. I would never pay $1,000 or 800 pounds or convert that to your currency of choice for a machine that merely harnesses the power of every human brain. Why would I pay that? Right? But it's something we need to think about and something that's coming. We are approaching an internet of everything. Today, roughly 1% of all physical objects on Earth are connected all the time. And we tend to recognize them because they have screens and they tend to have keyboards or whatever, right? There are computers, our laptops, our desktops, our servers, our mobile phones and so on, our wearable devices, our smartwatches, our spectacles. But the other 99% of all objects are quickly becoming connected. And this kind of exponential technology change creates a perfect storm. And we've seen this story before. And that's what's interesting about this moment in time, is most of the industries I speak with are grappling with the notion of digital disruption, are thinking about what their roadmap is for digital transformation. But we've seen what happens when organizations are unable to accelerate to meet the pace of exponential change. The music industry is one obviously well-known example. They were at the rock face of the first wave of digital disruption. And what happened there is holds many lessons, and it's certainly something that any industry can learn from, where an entire industry failed to transform in the face of exponential change, in the face of evolving consumer expectations. And we saw all of the value shift from the legacy players, the record labels, the retail stores, the artists maybe, into the hands of disruptors coming from industries that had nothing to do with entertainment at face value, the Apples of the world. Sucked all the value out of the business and became the most valuable players in the music supply chain. People listen to more music than ever today. The difference is we don't buy the CD for 11 pounds at the Virgin record store anymore. We get every song ever released for 11 pounds a month, and we access it on the phone over the cloud. Kodak is another well-known example. In 1978, Kodak had the first patent for a digital camera. They had a working prototype that wasn't much to look at, but nonetheless it was a prototype. And when that engineer who developed this device and filed for and gained the patent on the device walked into his executive team and says, hey, I'm onto something, the response was, and I'm paraphrasing, I wasn't in the meeting, was something like, nobody will ever want to look at their photos on their television. And they were half right. We don't look at our photos on our television, we look at them on our mobile phone, and we take them with our mobile phone too. And we share them with all of our friends and family, not by printing them out, but by uploading them to Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat. And Kodak not only lost their Kodak moment in the digital age, but they missed the Flickr moment, the Instagram moment, the Snapchat moment, because they didn't react quickly enough to the change that was happening all around them. And it's not a matter of technology. And I know this is a technology event, and I'm not going to tell you technology is not important. Technology is critically important. It is one of the key drivers of exponential change. But technology is not enough. Kodak didn't have a technology problem. They had a vision problem. They had a strategy problem. They had an inability to look around the corner and to make smart strategic decisions about how to evolve their business to meet the needs of a more rapidly evolving customer. And that's the challenge that many businesses in virtually every industry face today. As Peter Drucker once said, the greatest danger in times of turbulence, and I think we can probably all agree these are times of turbulence, isn't the turbulence itself. It's to act with yesterday's logic. And that's the question that I want everybody in this room to be asking. If there's one thing that you're thinking about when I'm done speaking or at the end of this entire event, it's, are we continuing to act with yesterday's logic? Or are we challenging every assumption in our business and making better choices for the future of our business? Because as I like to say, for better or for worse, the way you've always done business is the way you will go out of business. And as evidence of that, 52% of the companies that ranked in the Fortune 500 since the year 2000 are now gone. You don't want to be gone. I think it's fair to say, I don't think anybody would, if I did a poll of the audience, I don't think anybody would raise their hand and say, yeah, I'm comfortable if my company is gone in a decade or so. I don't think any of you would say that. I think we can agree on that one thing, right? Now, to kind of put it into some additional context for your particular industry, and I'm sure you've seen charts like this before, about a decade ago, 11 years ago, if you looked at the world's most valuable companies, 3 were oil and gas companies. Today, only ExxonMobil remains. The other 5 of the top 6 most valuable companies, and we can argue, are they overvalued, is it a bubble? But today, 5 of the 6 world's most valuable companies are technology companies. But here's a question. How are oil and gas companies not technology companies? For centuries, you have been on the forefront of technological change. In many ways, you were first in things like big data, even back to the 1980s. But somehow, you went from first to worst. And I don't mean that, I'm not trying to slap anybody on the wrist, but the world has changed so quickly that, like most industries, you haven't been able to keep up with the rate of change. But fundamentally, you are technology companies. And what makes you different from the other 5 on that list is that they know they're technology companies and they know that they are data-driven businesses. They started from that point and didn't have to make the leap. You have an exciting opportunity to make the leap and marry the digital and the physical in bold new ways, to be truly revolutionary. And that's really the opportunity, because digital transformation or digital disruption might present a number of obstacles, but it also presents a number of opportunities for the organizations in any industry that are willing to do more with digitalization than reinvent the things you've always done to do them a little bit better, a little bit faster, a little bit more efficiently, a little bit less expensively. But to actually create your business of the future, that's the opportunity. Reinvent the company for the future. How big is the opportunity? Some of you may have seen this piece of data from the World Economic Forum, a recent report, said that digital transformation alone in the gas and oil industry could unlock $1.6 trillion in new value for the industry, for your customers, and for society at large. $1.6 trillion. I'm sure everybody in this room would like their piece of that. That's a tremendous opportunity. And obviously, I know not everybody is starting at step one. I'm sure many of you inside your own organizations are already taking steps towards digitalization, already have a roadmap for transformation. Even if you're in the early stages, any step is good, right? You have to start somewhere. So what are organizations like you doing already? Codelco, a copper mining company in Latin America, has fully automated their mines, taking human laborers out of the sort of dirty, dangerous work that happens underground and allowing robots to do that work. The human workers were retrained and are now working in control rooms, not in copper mines. This is more efficient for sure. It's also a lot safer. Dave spoke about digital twins, the ability to replicate physical assets in the virtual world, and the ability to harness the power of sensor data to understand what's happening now and predict what will happen tomorrow to more efficiently manage those assets and to predictively maintain those assets. There's a tremendous opportunity there. But there's also an interesting wrinkle, which is that often the digital representations of physical assets are built around yesterday's data. Data is not like wine. It doesn't get better with age. We're used to looking at data that's in the rearview mirror when we do our business planning, but we need to be able to unlock the power of data in real time. And I think that's an incredible opportunity for any company that's able to unlock the power of data about your physical assets in real time. That's a win. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, maybe you haven't, that data is the new oil. A British gentleman by the name of Clive Humby, I believe, first coined that phrase, although many, many people have taken credit for it. And that's, I think it's an apt metaphor. But if data is the new oil, intelligence is the fuel that powers the future. Oil and gas companies, like many companies, are awash in data. The problem is it might live in silos. It's in the data department, so to speak. What it needs to be is in the hands of the people who can actually use it right now in an actionable way to make better decisions about the business. It needs to be extracted, refined, and put to use, and it needs to be done in real time. Intelligence is the key to unlocking the value in your business. Intelligence is what separates the technology businesses from all the other businesses that are becoming technology businesses. Speaking of intelligence, we're hearing a lot about artificial intelligence. And of course, earlier in my presentation, I spoke about that rapid rise that we're on right now to artificial general intelligence, harnessing the power of all human brains in a single computer processor. That's coming. There's threat, there's opportunity inherent in that change. But I want you to think not about artificial intelligence as much as you think about intelligence augmentation. How do man and machine work together to accomplish things that man alone has not been able to accomplish? How do we solve bigger problems, address larger challenges, and do these things more quickly than any single worker can do it? Woodside Energy in Australia, do we have anybody here from Woodside or Australia? Is piloting IBM's Watson artificial intelligence in their organization. And I love the way Woodside's described it. They're not doing it to replace human workers in the business. The human workers in the business, the engineers, for example, are teaching Watson how to think like an energy engineer. so that Watson can then help the single engineer perform the work of 1,000 engineers. That's an exciting opportunity, and it fundamentally changes the makeup of our business. And I think any one of us needs to think about how can we be better, work harder, work smarter, be more efficient, be more effective if we partner with technology. Don't become technology, but partner with technology in a way that is productive, that augments what we are able to do as humans ourselves.